Thank you and welcome to the show for today. If you are watching Perspectives, and I'm your host, Alana McLaughlin. This morning on the show, I have Dshaun Jones here to discuss his background, education, the impact that he seeks to leave on Tennessee communities, and ultimately Swift Dreams, the nonprofit organization that he is involved in. And ultimately, I believe that Swift Dreams is a good way to categorize Dshaun's entire life. And I don't want to say too much. I'm going to let you tell your story. But to kind of get this ball rolling on the episode, I want to start off by just talking about those early years. Introduce yourself, tell me where you're from, and just tell me kind of about baby Dshaun.
Yeah, Dshaun Jones from Lebanon, Tennessee. My dad's here from Nashville, so I spend both times. He actually is a graduate from Stratford. I believe they changed the name now, but yeah, just family man, musician. Community got a little bit all of the above, you know.
Now I want to talk about childhood. Set it up for me. Tell me some schools you went to. Kind of tell me the church involvement, family.
Okay.
Just run down those early years.
Yeah, so I went to Byers Dowdy Elementary School, Castle Heights. Graduated from Lebanon High, where I played football, basketball, did a little track and field as well. Came up crazy family. So I got that old school country family where my grandpa had 18 brothers and sisters. So everywhere you go, you're gonna know somebody. Got your aunties and uncles, everybody. But it's a real big, village, where we take care of each other. Started out at church at Peyton Road Church of Christ. I attend Pickett Rucker now. Just that old school country boy. Pretty much is what I am.
Now, before I get too deep into your football, I want to talk about just some of the things you were interested in as a kid. You can tell me sports, hobbies, just those baby years. Tell me who baby Dshaun was.
It's crazy because being here, I was thinking about, like, my first dream and goal, I actually wanted to be a weatherman. Like, I love some Leland.
There's another station, but
yeah,
we do respect
Leland.
Look,
God, don't cut me off, but that's just baby Dshaun. That was just, I actually wanted to be a weatherman. I was real big into the weather come on. I gotta watch the segment, Then as time went on and I grew up and had those, get the athletic abilities, it was always, I always thought I was gonna be the next Tennessee Titan. So just, football and being sports was my main goal, was my passion. So.
And kind of in this first segment, we'll go on and get in, because you've lived a life. You have lived a life, and we haven't even scratched the surface of it. I want you to tell me about football, specifically in high school, and just those experiences. Tell me how you got into football, and then leading up to a really life-changing moment on the field.
Oh yeah, so I started playing football probably from at 5 years old, all the way up until high school, and high school is kind of like that real important stage for most athletes that want to, play professional. And I didn't get all my high school years because I have a heart disease called neurocardiogenic syncope, pretty much, which is kind of think of like a chest cramp where your blood vessels kind of cramp, and they were leading to seizures and leading to the life flights. So I missed my sophomore and my junior year dealing with that, and we didn't know if I was going to even be able to play ball. And my senior year, I was kind of fighting with the doctors, saying like, hey, they're saying like, you're not going to be able to play ball no more. And I was always that kid like, yeah, I am. You're like, you don't know me. And so finally got the clearance. After we finally figured out what my disease was and got the proper medication for it, I was trained to get back, and then my body just was not accepting it because one thing that my body doesn't dwell well with is heat. And so just kind of being out of shape and dealing with the heat and temperatures, and I started having seizures. I had one on the field where I had to be life flighted from the school, and my athletic trainer actually had to bring out the machine to read the pulse and shock me back.
Like an AED?
Yes, an AED machine. So it was scary, and my mom was like, no, boy, no, this ain't what you're doing no more. But I was just, blessed and crazy gifted, so I just wanted to see the dream come true. And I ended up having a scholarship, played at UC Martin for a little bit, and ultimately had another little setback with my heart that came with that. So God just kind of had to sit me down and tell me, like, hey, son, like, I get what you're saying, but you've been a little hard-headed. This isn't your dream,
And
so.
Dshaun, to kind of just wrap this first segment, tell me kind of in a short clip the mental state associated with all this. You're a young man, a young black man who was dealing with this heart condition. Tell me how you just didn't give up on yourself.
Honestly, I think I was just so naive. It was just one mindset only. It was like, I got to make it happen. And I'm still like that to this day, and I'm blessed to have that mindset. But I think it was just a little bit me being naive and just, believing in myself,
And in our second segment, we're just going to pick back up on believing in yourself, how that naivety actually worked in your benefit.
Yeah.
And just we're going to talk about the different organizations you're involved in and how you turned that pain and that, struggle into triumph.
Yeah.
And in our second segment, we're just going to pick back up right where we've just left off, talking about life after football, how you've impacted youth in our local community. And I encourage our viewers to tune into the second segment of Perspectives, where Dshaun and I will be discussing Swift Dreams, his background, upbringing, education, and the impact he seeks to leave on Tennessee. To the second segment of the show for today. For viewers just tuning in, I am host Alana McLaughlin, and you are watching Perspectives. This morning on the show, I have Dshaun Jones here to discuss his background, upbringing, education, swift dreams, and ultimately the impact that he seeks to leave on local Tennessee communities. In our first segment, we talked about Dshaun's upbringing in Lebanon, Tennessee. We talked about football experiences, a specific incident resulting in Dshaun being life-flighted from the field, having to have an AED machine used on him. And we talked about the impact that had on his mental health at that early stage, at that early age. And now we're picking back up on just life after that incident. And really, you talked about, really it was naivety that really kind of saved you throughout all this. Because I was saying, I'm like, boy, you going through all this? How are you not like pulling your hair out? How are you not crying? He was like, well, I was kind of naive to it. And I laughed because I was like, that's actually amazing. That really kind of like saved your mental. Now tell me, now that you've, life after UT Martin is where I kind of want to pick back up from.
Okay.
I want to talk about just the mental state associated with that. You're still, dealing with this heart condition, but just tell me how you got into your next endeavor, which is music.
Yeah. So actually, the music thing just kind of happened accidentally. Like, when COVID happened, a lot of people kind of found like their new niche and tried everything. And me, I'm like an avid music lover. So for me, it was really more about just seeing if I could actually do it. I love to write, and so I wanted to see if I could translate what I write into music. And ended up going to the studio and actually didn't even have a full song. Me and my producer just kind of sat down and was like, hey, man, this is what I got. Like, let's make it happen. And so the first song was called Respectfully, and everybody was like, man, you kind of sound like Biggie. And that transpired to a song called The Next B.I.G., and everybody loved it. To what we have now is the state anthem, what's being considered the state anthem, Tennessee Pimpin'. And that has like changed the trajectory of my life like crazy, and it's kind of one of those things that was never even thought of, and it's just like we're here now, and it's just like, wow,
Now, Tennessee Pimpin' has been played by like the ESPN, the NFL, the Predators, the Vols. Tell me about just like the technicality behind that, writing that song, actually like pushing it out, and then getting all this reception.
Yeah, so I actually was listening to the radio, which I never do, and that P.D. Pablo song that came on, that North Carolina going to raise up. I was thinking like, wow, I was like, we don't have a state anthem. And the Cadillacs 24s is just kind of like how I was brought up. My grandpa had all the Cadillacs, the Cadillac trucks, all that. And so I was just able to kind of inspire that in my music. And TikTok is a big platform for music artists now. And if you're not utilizing it, you really should be. But it went viral, over like 2 million views. And people just took it, and it ended up being like more like a way of life for people. And they're really able to get behind it. I know MTSU's hockey team, I just did something with them like 2 weeks ago. I got to talk with the team, but they use it after every win and kind of like their motivational song. Teron Davenport with ESPN, he's the Titans beat writer. Love him to death, man. He's been a huge supporter. He's bought merch, used it for the Titans players' intros. They played it inside the stadiums. Just me growing up loving the Titans, it's just been like dreams and goals and stuff that I never even knew was possible. So it's definitely been crazy.
And now, oh my goodness, tell me just about dealing with that reception. It's just not every day do we get 2 million TikTok views. Not every day is your stuff being played after like professional teams games. How do you deal with that, man?
It's still surreal to me. You know what I'm saying? Just because I didn't come from that aspect. I came from, being in the community, doing the insurance and stuff like that. So now when I'm going out and everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's Tennessee Pimpin', and just seeing like the smile on the kids' faces and seeing how my kids are responding to it, it's just letting me know that like I'm doing the right thing, so.
And kind of in a real sense, I want to talk about how this is tied into Swift Dreams.
Okay.
I want you to describe to me what Swift Dreams is, that nonprofit organization, and your involvement in it.
Yeah, so Swift Dreams is a branch from an organization called On Top Athletics. My uncle Chavez Job, he sent over 500 kids to college. They do it completely free. Some of the big names like Zion Logue, who has won multiple championships with the Georgia Bulldogs, Colton Dow, who's from my city, got drafted by the Tennessee Titans, and his son, Ty Job, who was my best friend. It's a branch that we started just for the kids. It started with just our first football camp, we had like 3 or 4 kids. And then we kept doing more events, and kids was telling their friends about it. And we were able to do something like at our church where we had like kind of like for the kids to feel grown, like a little sip and paint with the grape juice, had a game room, had another room where the girls were able to get their nails done by their members and ladies at our church. And it was really just a process of just, kids, when they don't have anything to do, they tend to get in a lot of trouble, And how I was brought up, I was raised around my coaches and my best friends. And if I didn't have that outlet and that source, then there's no telling what would have happened to me. So it was just our way of giving back and wanting to be there for the kids where they come to a camp and get devotion, they get fed, and, just get some knowledge as well as learning life skills, if that makes sense.
Now tell me some of the ways that y'all have gone out into the community. I know you're bringing these kids in, but tell me just the impact that you've seen Swift Dreams have outside of just collectively, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would honestly say just not even thinking about it, and running into one of the kids that have been at the camp and them letting like, hey, like, man, Coach Jones, that camp was so fun. Like, when's another one? Like, that was the best time of my life. And most importantly to me is just knowing that they're getting those life skills, they're getting those devotions. A lot of kids nowadays come up in those single parent households where they don't necessarily have a father figure. I know for me, like, my dad is in my life, love him to death. He motivation drives me to this day, but he went to jail for a while, for a good part of my life. So those void years, still as an adult now, still we're able to go back and talk like, man, if I was there those 5 to 6 years, maybe, life would have been different. So if we can just be a mentor in a sense of like a father figure for these kids and a source of guidance, then that's a win for us,
Mm-hmm. And in our third segment, we're going to pick back up on just that impact that you've had, the impact that you have through music on our youth, and we're going to talk more about kind of what we're experiencing with our Black youth here in town. I want to hear kind of the things that you experienced during your adolescence, and I'll kind of share the things that I saw, but I want to talk in relation to what our Black youth are lacking here in town and the ways that we can improve our community. And I encourage our viewers to tune into the final segment of Perspectives, where Dshaun and I will be discussing Swift Dreams, his upbringing, background, education, and ultimately the impact he seeks to leave on Tennessee.
All month, the Jennifer Hudson Show will surprise you. Again.
Oh, wow.
And again.
You surprised? Let's go crazy.
With incredible stories.
I shouted out to God, the universe, share.
Come join the celebration. We will make your day.
You done brought the happy place to my house.
Yes, I did.
Happy.
Watch The Jennifer Hudson Show weekdays at 2 on CW Nashville.
When you want the biggest stories, only one name comes to mind.
Welcome to TMZ Live.
We break the stories the world wants to talk about first.
Ariana Grande, she is heading.
Welcome to the final segment of the show for today. For viewers just tuning in, I am host Alana McLaughlin, and you are watching Perspectives. This morning on Perspectives, I have Dshaun Jones here to discuss his upbringing, background, education, Swift Dreams, and ultimately the impact that Dshaun seeks to leave on Tennessee communities. In our first 2 segments, we talked about Dshaun's early beginnings in Lebanon, Tennessee. We talked about football career. We talked about the impact that his heart condition had on that football career. And we left off talking about Swift Dreams. And we're going to highlight that nonprofit once again. And we're going to talk about what Swift Dreams does for the community and some of the things that we see that our local Nashville communities may need. And just like I said, we were talking about Swift Dreams. Mm-hmm. We talked about what you guys do for local kids in the community, but I want to really kind of hone in now on what we're seeing in our city. Yeah. I want you to kind of tell me some of the things that you're seeing in both the boys you mentor and just as a man in town. Yeah. Think about your adolescence and some of those things that our community is experiencing that we can help fix or help improve.
Oh, yeah. I think for me, the most important thing is just they need more things to do, more activities. Like growing up, we had the skate centers and the different family fun centers like that. Like we need more of those. Like I think kids are just getting into so much because they're bored and, you just know how the mind works, I know specifically in my city, like we're seeing that spike in the drug overdoses and and I have so many people that I grew up with that are no longer here because of the drug overdose and dealing with family, and it's one of those things that I'm really passionate about, but just trying to find a solution to show them that that's not the way of life. I think a lot of times they get caught up in impressing other people, but just so about instilling that confidence and them believing in themselves is the main goals for me, because if you believe in yourself, then you don't have to do other things to impress other people and stuff that you might not even like, because it really only takes that one time, and that one time can change your whole life, change your life, change your family's life. So really just got to build that confidence into our youth to let them know that you don't have to do those things. So.
And especially in relation to drugs, do you think that drugs were as prevalent when we were like teenagers or kids? Or I'll take that back. I would say they were as prevalent, but this fentanyl, this opioid crisis, do you think that that's kind of like in the last 5 years?
Yeah, so I think those new drugs are definitely, they didn't deal with them like they did in the past. But I do think also we're in the age of social media, so being exposed in light of those things come way earlier than it would way back in the day when our parents were growing up. So and just seeing, and also not only that, you have the videos on social media that kind of show you how those effects, and these people can seem to make it look cool and something that's not, when really you're putting your life in danger, you're putting your family at risk, and you're hurting the ones that love and care about you the most,
And you just hit on something good that I was actually just about to segue into. We see it on social media, the kids see it, and it's cool. Do you feel like our popular music nowadays really kind of like encourages that? Because I do.
Yeah, so,
I'll be the first to say, I do.
Yeah, so that's a great question, because that's something, like I have 3 kids, I have a family, and I have the Tennessee Pimpin', which is kind of like a lifestyle, and it's a family song, and I do have like a couple songs that are a little bit darker, and it's kind of like that astigmatism where like, do you have to be gangster to be rap? And to me, like, I'm trying to change that narrative to where you don't have to be a gangster, you don't have to be in the streets to do rap. Now, when it comes to the question of like, does the music influence that stuff? I think it's fair to say that like some music does influence that stuff, especially like when you see like, because you do have true artists that actually, like, believe it or not, they do live that stuff, and then you have the artists that don't. But the ones that do live that stuff, they're pretty open about it and they're proud about it, and I think you just have that generation of kids to see that and find, some astigmatism to that, and they want to live that life, so.
And how do we combat that? Because when we have artists like you or like other local, I think of like 2 Live Bree or like the Rap Girl, people who are putting out content that we want to hear. This is content that I would be comfortable playing in my classroom, on the radio with kids, things like that. So how do we support these artists while also kind of shying them away from the more negative artists about this, or is all music just art? Kind of tell me the angle that you think about it.
So being a fair musician, I do believe music is art. So it's kind of like, I view it as kind of like a scary movie. You have like the gory movies, and you're gonna have the happy family movies as well. But also, like, there has to be that line where you kind of let it be known that it's art. Like, you'll never see guns or anything like that in my music videos. But it's just like, kind of like you're saying, like, how do we promote these people who are speaking positive and wanting you to embrace your life and achieve your dreams and goals and make it look cool, you know what I'm saying?
I know.
So I think that's the part that it lacks, is the cool aspect of it. Like, you look much better, I guess, to these kids with guns in your videos and acting crazy, but I'm really on what you're thinking on, how do you make the uncool look cool.
And you're right. Honestly, I've had guests on here both who have, the straight and narrow, and then the ones who have had the guns and the props. And I treat everyone the same, but I will say that I noticed that with these guys who have these, I'll call them props because they probably are. With these props, they're deeply unhappy.
Right.
And while, they're putting out these hype music to these hype beats, I'm listening to them talk, and they're troubled in their spirit, in their heart. And I think that's really telling, that I've seen over the course of perspectives, I've seen that these artists are troubled, and it almost always correlates with the negativity that you're putting out. You're talking about dead people and who did this and that, putting people down.
I mean, I think here's the fair thing to say. It's life, and it's art, and it's people that's speaking from their experiences. You know what I'm saying? I think the sad part of it is just like, why is there so many people who are feeling the same pain, the same trauma? Like, and it comes back to the community, and I guess that's where this all ties into. Like, if they would have had the proper resources growing up, maybe being exposed to different things, different talents, even with their music ability, maybe they would have been able to tell their story and the bright lights of their life a little bit differently, as opposed of maybe getting out that hurt that they're dealing with and putting it out to the world like that. So I really do. It just comes, as a part of the life that we live,
You're right. And now I want to take this time to kind of talk about some of the gems that you want to leave, both with youth who are, on the right path, they're doing the right thing, and then with youth who may be troubled or who may be in a troubling environment. I want you to speak life into them and kind of speak some words that you wish someone had spoken to you as a youth.
Yeah. I really go by the motto is it's impossible. It's only impossible until you do it. Like, chase your dreams. Be different. Like, you don't have to follow the path of somebody else before you just because they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all right to be different. It's all right to chase those dreams. It's all right to not at the party that weekend, to sacrifice some time to achieve the things that you want to do. It's okay to be a family man. It's all right. Like you don't have to be a gangster to be a rapper. Like, it's really about you being the best you possible. And that's my goals. That's my dreams. I want to break those generational curses and create the generational wealth, So it's only about, you making that possible.
Man, I like that. Break the generational curses and build generational wealth.
Yes, ma'am.
Man, that is awesome. And now I want to take these last few minutes, plug yourself in. Tell me ways the community can support, whether that's through events, through social media. Plug yourself.
Yeah. You can follow me on Instagram at _TheRealMCD. Also, Swift Dreams Foundation on Instagram. TikTok is my name, Dshaun Jones. Got a show coming up in Clarksville at the Love Bistro. Another show here in Nashville, 615 Homes.
And March 9th?
Yeah,
March
March
I'm
9th.
hosting it.
Oh, wow, okay, yeah, so I'll be on stage there. And we have a real big, I'm actually performing at the Southern Entertainment Awards this year in Atlanta, Georgia. So just that, any merch purchases, anything like that, it all helps and allow us to keep doing what we're doing, so.
And man, that's an awesome way to wrap the episode. You have made me smile this entire time, and I know our viewers have felt the same. So Dshaun, I thank you for coming in this morning, for sharing your story, for your perseverance, and really for what you do on the ground.
Thank you
because
for having me.
You seriously don't have to, and you do, and you've impacted thousands of children through your work. And I encourage our viewers to support Dshaun and to continue to keep up with him and to just show him the love and support that he deserves. Thank you to my viewers for just the space again to share perspectives, and I wish you a good morning.